Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by Gary Thrapp. He is a youth sports specialist. Gary has spent 40 years managing youth sports. He has coached over 50,000 games, and he has spent the last 19 years developing and working the premier youth sports facility called Beyond the Baseline. Gary has worked hard to develop not just better athletes, but better people. And he is focused on, leadership and community. He's successfully raised 4 kids in the competitive process as well. So we're going to be talking to him about his free sports community programs. He's done several community events all about community. So we're going to be talking to him about everything that he's up to and going to be up to. So Gary, thank you for joining me.
I appreciate you having me on.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, you filled in some pretty good gaps there. I got, I really enjoyed youth sports as a youngster myself. It kind of kept me out of trouble. It kept me busy. It gave me a release from maybe some anxiety I had at school and at home. So that was key for me. And then it kind of amped up. I got into some coaching early on, and I really enjoyed it. It went from that to having 4 kids and being willing to go coast to coast with them to try to open up opportunities for them. And then it really amped up. Like you mentioned, I bought a youth sports facility back in 2006 and been working nonstop for the last 19 years, going on 20 years now, just trying to help our community in a variety of different ways. So just love doing it, and I love being a part of the, growth process with kids.
Well, I know you spent 4 decades doing it. So, what initially pulled you into the youth sports world, and what keeps you so committed after 40 years?
Yeah, my high school coach, when I was a junior and senior, he required us as players to coach a youth league that he did. And so that opened my eyes up to the thought that maybe I was pretty good at it because I really enjoyed it. I seemed to get good responses from the kids, and that really set the tone for the rest of my life as far as wanting to be involved at some point in youth sports as a coach, of course, then as a parent, but it wasn't until probably I purchased the youth sports facility did things really amp up 24 hours a day practically, because when you have a facility and you got to pay the bills, and you love being involved in different aspects of it, that just that amped things up for sure.
Well, after managing 50,000 games, what have you noticed that separate the positive youth sports experiences from the negative ones?
Yeah, the nice thing is people are primarily positive, but as you know, just like watching the news, you tend to be exposed to the negative, and it might be the loudest thing that's happening. So um, it's nice to know that there's so many good people out there doing great work. And then I, because I was out on the front lines running events and tournaments and being involved in the process right out there in the gym doing it. Uh, I work with so many different people that have different approaches. I think there's a huge gamut of approaches that people use to raise their child, to coach, to respond to maybe some negativity that happens. So I tried to, I've learned a lot of different ways to help move youth sports forward in a positive way. And then probably the biggest thing, and you kind of touched on it, in youth sports, it's very noticeable is if you have a lot of money, there's a lot of opportunity for you. And if you don't, so often there's not a lot of things that you can do or not a lot of opportunity. So we've tried to use our facility to make a nice outlet for the kids that don't have maybe a lot of support, a lot of financial help to have a place to play and at a very low cost. Free's kind of low. So, and that's what I love to do now. That's my passion is help those kids.
Where you've raised 4 kids through the competitive process. So, what are some of the lessons that you learned as a parent that you now apply as a coach?
I learned to listen more than preach and to lecture. It took me a while. It was my third child, my daughter, that really kind of woke me up a little bit to that. So just the approach you take with kids, I've adjusted over the years. So they taught me to be a better listener and be more positive. It took me a while to figure that one out. So um, these days now I'm about 98% positive when I'm coaching kids and what have you. My own kids taught that. Probably the other biggest thing, because my wife and I were willing and able to go coast to coast with them to try to open up opportunities, is that looking back, you don't have to spend a lot of money. You don't have to travel a lot to get good results with your kids. And that's a tough one to really understand. So those two elements really is what I look back on with my kids that were very noticeable.
Well, you've been operating beyond the baseline for 19 years. So, talk about your original vision for the facility and how has the vision evolved for over the 19 years.
Yeah, it really kind of strange because I literally was just going around town for my own kids looking for a bigger garage to have them be able to maybe have a batting cage, a hoop, indoors over the winter, and so I was keeping my eyes and ears open for that. And at the same time, my wife and I were volunteering our time at the kids' school. They did a youth basketball tournament as a fundraiser for their school. So we volunteered and did a variety of different aspects to even running the tournament for them for a few years. So that gave us some experience in that regard. So while I'm driving around, I heard that this 40,000 square foot gymnasium was available and went and took a look at it and went home and told my wife I bought it. Could you imagine that discussion?
Yeah, I'm sure she probably was. You probably were in the doghouse that night or something.
She wasn't quite surprised based on some of the other things I got into. So, but it was amazing. Initially, it's just a matter of looking in the community and seeing what the needs were. We basically had an empty building. There wasn't a lot going on. So we're very motivated and used our work ethic to, pay the bills and get things going and listen to what was needed out there and started putting events together, leagues together. And it's really been a awesome time. A lot of hard work, as you can imagine, just like any small business that you start up. But I wouldn't enjoy doing anything more than what we're doing here at the gym. It's so much fun.
Well, you offer free programs for 250 kids. Talk about why it was important to remove the financial barriers and what impact have you seen, because you've done what you've done.
Yeah, it's really sad when you hear in your community, and I started hearing maybe 6, 7 years ago as these elite teams were being developed. I heard that there were some teams that were very low cost that disbanded because the kids who had money went to the elite program that cost a lot of money, and those that didn't have an option. And, seeing that happen over and over, it's like, now we got to do better than that. So that's where several years ago we started doing free opportunities, whether it was teams that had kids that needed help. I gave them free court time initially, and they coached themselves and just trying to support them, and then got to really know several leaders in our community that were doing God's work, working with the kids for nothing. I mean, they didn't want paid and didn't care whether they got paid. And so we kind of got together and said, "Hey, let's put a program together that will help kids that don't have money and get them involved." And the results we've had, one example is we had a fifth grader that was in a family that really the older siblings struggled in and out of jail and still are in and out of jail. And the fifth grader wasn't really that interested in basketball. And fast forward, I don't know, 10, 15 years later, he's a college freshman playing basketball for one of our local universities. So pretty cool. So just surrounding kids with positive people that doing good work and providing lifelines to them. So we just love watching our kids grow and gain experience and just have the support system surrounding them. So that's the main purpose, of course.
Well, there was a lot of debate today around competition, versus participation for young athletes. So, how do you define or keep up healthy competition, for the young athletes that you work with?
Well, just the approach of the coaches is being primarily positive and understanding that when you're playing against teams that may not have that same approach, your kids are going to be exposed to negativity, and more egos and more frustrating and difficult situations. Uh, any sport is filled with mistakes. So, we're trying to teach our kids how to handle mistakes and handle frustration. So, that's the main thing is just be there as a support system for kids as they're experiencing success and failures and help them realize these are just awesome ways to be prepared for the future. And so, it takes a while for kids because everybody that comes here is a professional athlete when they start in third grade, as you know. So it's kind of helping them understand the big picture of things and what's most important, and yet not take away that drive to want to be the best for sure. So just try to help direct them in a good, positive way so they're ready to get a job. They're ready to possibly go to a university or a college or basically be in a position where they can do whatever they want because they have the confidence to be able to do that.
Well, from your perspective, what role should parents play in youth sports, and where do you see they most often get their role wrong?
I think just understanding what good coaching is and understanding there's not a lot of good quality information out there that helps them know what direction to take with their kids. When you combine that thought with so often, parents are stretched for time themselves, working, uh, you know, maybe have multiple kids that are in a variety of different things. So it limits the ability to know exactly what to do. Sometimes you just throw one of your kids on a team just because you heard about that team. So sometimes we make quick decisions without doing a little bit of research on who we're putting our kids with. So it's really trying to do that extra work behind the scenes or prior to getting your child involved, um, to make sure you're putting them in good situations. Coaching is huge. And the one thing I've noticed is that unfortunately, so often the loudest coaches in the room may be doing a disservice to kids. It's usually the quiet ones doing the heavy lifting, doing the development that are doing the best job. So um, it's there's so many different approaches and strategies that parents want to. And this is what I did when I first had kids. Was I took the time to read a lot of books, to watch a lot of videos, to go to different coaching clinics, just to so I knew what I was doing. And that's something that you want to really define as a parent is the coach I'm putting my child with, do they have that same approach? And that was a motivation to write The Wild World of Youth Sports, just use my experience and try to help parents have strategies so they can use their time and money wisely. It's like
Well,
another full-time job, Chris.
absolutely. And I also know that you focus heavily on leadership development. So, in what ways can sports be used to develop leaders and not just athletes?
Yeah, and that's where the coaching side of it's really important. It's giving each child an opportunity to be a leader on a team and realize that each child that is on your team, regardless of how skilled they are in that particular sport, has strengths that can lead the team if given the opportunity. So, what I always did was put our kids that I was coaching each in leadership positions. So, and to help them make decisions for the team, not only in practices, but also in games. So, that is very important to give everyone the opportunity to be, uh, to develop those leadership capabilities. And those are experiences that'll last a lifetime. They'll feed off of those the rest of their life.
What advice would you give to organizations or communities looking to create youth youth sports programs that really make a difference?
Let's take a quick break.
Entrepreneurs, want to protect your assets? Come check out your new best friend at insuranceman.net. From errors and omissions to workman's comp, we've got your back. Whether you're in food services, apartment rentals, laundromats, Mikael Battles can help you find great coverage for your business. Call us at 888-647-0788 or go online to www.insuranceman.net. Again, 888-647-0788 or online at insuranceman.net.
Be very patient, be non judgmental, be very sincere and honest. I mean, we could just throw a lot of stuff at it. Things that I try to be stable, be well structured, get to know and build relationships with the people, the families. Just because, as an example, just because you have a child that maybe doesn't, we have kids that come in that have never had a parent watch them play. They either live close by or they get a ride from one of our coaches and what have you. So uh, it's almost like they're on their own a little bit for different reasons. And just, helping all children have that opportunity is so important. So we just try to be just fill in the gaps where parents and families need that support, so we can help everybody head in a good positive direction. So you wear a lot of hats when you do this type of work. So if you want to move mountains in your community like this, you just got to be really stable yourself, really strong, realize you're going to be confronted with a lot of different issues. Try not to prejudge, just be a good, happy, solid, positive voice and help people head in a good, positive direction. And that's really hard to do in so many different ways. But
Well, if you could change one thing about the youth sports landscape, what would it be, and what was the first step you would take to start making that change?
well, it's one of those things you got to change at the local level. One thing that is, I get it. There's huge youth sports facilities being built all the time around the country. Communities are motivated to build them just to try to attract people to their community. There's nothing wrong with that for sure. But what I try to tell parents at a local level, you don't have to play a lot of games to help your child have opportunity. So, when these facilities are providing games to try to pay the bills, That's one thing. So there's a lot of different places you can go, but parents, it's very important to understand that your child doesn't have to play a lot of games. So we're really skewing way too far towards the game playing aspect of it and not utilizing our time developing our child. Because it's really hard to help a child truly get better at a sport by just playing games. You got to work on technique. You have to work on skill work, fundamentals. I mean, you just can't teach that type of stuff just throwing them out there playing games in any sport. You got to work on those little things that are huge in helping a child develop. So playing too many games as opposed to development is a huge problem we have nationwide in youth sports, no doubt about it.
We'll talk to the listeners about your book. Tell us what we can expect when we read it, why you decided to write it, and what you want them to take away from it, and how to pick it up.
Yeah, it's a great way to save money and save time, really is. So I not it's 150 strategies for doing that. Not only saving money but time, and it's based on experience. It's based on what I've found works not only for me but for other parents. I love to watch. I love to observe how people's approaches and then see the results when the kids feel that approach. And having been on the front lines and doing this every day for the last 20 years and then throughout my life for 40 years, you get an idea what works and what doesn't. And so I tried to package that in a pretty easy book to read, including some amazing stories that'll just make you laugh, make you cry, make you mad. These are stories that I've experienced that help, I think, make the point of the strategies that I'm talking about. So I'm getting some really good feedback from people that just are amazed by some of the stories that we've witnessed here at our gym and throughout our youth sports careers. And but I still cry when I read them, quite honestly. So, but yeah, it's packed full of stuff like that, literally just to try to help save money and time for parents.
Well, tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Goodness gracious, I'm really reaching out nationwide to people that are doing things similar to what I'm doing here at Beyond the Baseline here in Davenport, Iowa. I'm just doing a lot of different networking around the country just to find the people that are really on the front lines doing similar work so we can gain strength and gain momentum together. And it's so important for our young people because they're exposed to so many different things with their phones and on social media. uh, the mental health crisis that we have. I think it's so important to develop a network of those positive leaders around the country that kids can learn from, that are doing the work, not just talking about doing it, but are doing the work. So that's really my mission right now, is to continue to do what we're doing here at Baseline, but then develop that network around the country so our kids can learn from a variety of different people in different ways. So,
Well, so people can keep up with everything that you're up to, throw out your contact info.
yeah, so I actually have a website, garythrapp.com. I also am on LinkedIn, and my nonprofit website is at goingbeyondthebaseline.com. So those couple of areas are good ways to connect. Love to hear stories about youth sports from anywhere around the country, just to share ideas and share strategies. So definitely.
We'll close this out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Man, there's nothing more important than helping your child feel that and gain the feel that they can do anything they want in their life. And that takes time, that takes development, that takes that trust that you develop with your child. So, what I try to tell parents through the book as well is this is designed not only to help you help your child be successful, but also to try to help communities in that every event you go to, uh, regardless of the sport, keep your eyes and ears open for potential victims, because we have kids come here that you know, haven't been to school for a while, so we got to motivate them to get it back to school. And it turns out it's just because they didn't get a haircut or haven't been fed properly. So just I try to help parents realize, not only look out for your own children, but keep your eyes and ears open for other potential kids who need help. So that's a big part of the book as well.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Pick up that book. Check out www.garythrapp.com. Check out everything that Gary's up to, and if you know people involved in youth sports, whether it be parents, athletes, or coaches, share this episode to as many people as possible. Also, go sign up for the Living the Dream newsletter and visit www.curveball337.com to keep up with everything Living the Dream with Curveball. Thank you for listening and supporting the show, and thank you for all that you do, Gary, and thank you for joining me.
You betcha. Enjoyed doing it.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.